We're recording. I thank you so much, everybody, for managing the time difference from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. This is our monthly call. And Jen and I have known each other socially for quite some time. We've never physically met, as is often the case. She's met my eldest daughter, which is fine. And Instagram, Gemma's one of her sacred 534 followers on Instagram. Never mind the 14,000 follow her. She does follow back when it's something fun to do, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
And Jen has an amazing life. She is a very smart business lady. She has a corporate career. She also has her blogging career and her corporate, or sort of, I should say, social consultation business as well. She is a prolific blogger. She is just the most sweetest person on the planet. And I am overjoyed that when I called and she picked up the phone, she said yes. So, Jen Herman.
Thank you. I love that introduction. Thank you. So, yeah, I am thrilled to be here, you guys. When Jonathan reached out and asked me if I would come back, of course I said yes. I've been in one of his previous sessions and we did some other things together, and we've known each other for a while. So I was thrilled to get invited back. And I love doing Zoom because I get to see most of your faces. I know some of you don't have webcams, but I love seeing your faces and seeing how you're taking it in. It's much more helpful to me to actually be able to see what you guys are responding to and see how things are going. So I am going to apologize. I came down with a cold yesterday, so if I sound a little nasally and funny, that's why. And I've got my water in case I get dehydrated and need to, wet the whistle a little bit to keep going, because we're going to be talking a lot. If you guys haven't heard me speak before, I talk really fast, and that's because Jonathan graciously gave me an hour of all of your precious time, and I want to give you as much as I possibly can in 1 hour. So I'm going to give you lots of information and lots of slides and talk really fast. So yay! So with that, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to start sharing the screen because I want you guys to be able to see all of these slides. And move this over here, though, so that's not distracting me from what I'm seeing. Okay, there we go. Can everyone see that first slide?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so Jonathan did a great job of kind of giving me a quick little introduction about who I am and what I do. I am known for Instagram. I am the world's forefront blogger on Instagram marketing. It's become my niche. I usually speak and do training and that sort of thing. I'm currently writing the Instagram for Business for Dummies, which will hopefully be out by the end of the year. We're in final stages of editing. So I am known for Instagram, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. But I do cover social media in general. When I work with my clients, I do kind of all the major social media platforms and strategy development, that sort of thing. So, but we're going to talk about all the fun things on Instagram.
Yes.
So one of the things, Jonathan reached out to me and said, hey, let's talk about how to grow your audience. And he kind of was like, well, maybe we can talk about these two things. And of course, being me, I wrote back, I was like, well, yeah, we could do those two things and we could do like 5 more things. And Jonathan was like, okay, go for it, girl. You got it. So why you want to grow your audience? I just really quickly kind of wanted to touch on these, and maybe Jonathan can just take a couple minutes to talk about this. But and if you guys want to chime in, whether it's via the chat or anything, because I love for these things to be interactive, but generally why people want to grow your audience is either brand awareness. You want to get more exposure. You want people to learn about your brand, that sort of thing. Some people want customer insights, and the bigger your audience, the more insights you can get, whether it's demographic information, whether it's product preferences, that sort of thing. Obviously, the bigger your audience, the more chance you have for lead generation to try to, build your, whether it's your email list or that sort of sales funnel. And of course, ideally, we all want to make more sales and revenue, and we need more people to be able to sell to do that. So those are typically kind of the 4, reasons why people want to grow your audience. But if you guys want to chime in, either go off mute, or if you have comments, about why you specifically want to grow your audience, I would love to hear from you about what those reasons are. So if Jonathan, anything pops in the chat, I can't see the chat box with my reduced window. So if anything pops in, if you want to read them out.
So someone says here, lead generation for a SaaS platform. Not sure what that is.
Okay. So when it comes, like, so if you're trying to do lead generation, so I'm assuming, yeah, so I'm assuming then you're trying to do, like, are you trying to build your email list more so then? Like, that's where you're trying to get your lead generation? Are you trying to get them via, like, webinars? Are you trying to get them via downloads, ebooks, that sort of thing? What sort of methods are you using to try to build that, or are you trying to figure that out? Currently, you're building your email. Okay, perfect. And believe it or not, Instagram can help with this. And we'll talk about some of the things, you know, later on as we go through. But here's the thing. When you're trying to get someone into your email list, obviously you have to give them something of value, right? It's an exchange process. So whether you're getting them to download an ebook, whether they're signing it up for a webinar, whether it's something, you know, like even something like this, like an inner circle, you're trying to get them into your community. You need to basically be giving something in exchange to get that email. So you can totally do that. You want to be able to, let's say you have that free product you're offering, then you want to be able to say something like, click on the link in my bio, and that link in the bio is the link to the download, or that sort of thing, where you can, because you only have the one link on Instagram, so you want to make sure you're using that effectively, and we'll talk about this a bit more, but you can absolutely do that. The other thing you can do is, if you have a business account, you can actually have an email button on your Instagram account. Like, if you go to my Instagram account, you'll see there's an email button, and it literally allows you to email me directly from your phone, from Instagram. You literally click on it, it says email, it opens up your email program, and you can send me an email. So I can say, hey, if you want to get this, or if you want to talk to me, or if you want to do this, hit the email button on my profile. So there's a couple different ways that you can encourage people to either sign up or get their email that way. Were there any other requests?
Instagram into the chat box.
What's that?
I just dropped your Instagram link into the chat box.
Perfect. Okay, so we will go ahead then and kind of continue on with all the things that we are going to talk about today. So the four kind of key areas we're going to talk about and go through are in how to build and grow your audience on Instagram. We're going to look first at hashtag strategies. What works, what doesn't work, that sort of thing. We're going to talk about contests and how you can use contests effectively. We are going to talk about Instagram stories a little bit and what you can do specifically in Instagram stories to get found. And we're going to talk about Instagram ads. And then we're going to wrap it all up, and I'm going to talk about captions, kind of like I was just talking about a little bit, in terms of how to make sure you're formatting your captions properly to be able to drive the real results that you guys are looking for. So first and foremost, we're talking hashtag strategies. Now, there are a bunch of different studies out there. Here's my theory. The more hashtags you use, the more opportunity you have to be found. It's pretty much that simple. There are studies that say 7 hashtags is the magic number. There's studies that say 11 hashtags is the magic number. There's studies that say if you use more than 9, it's a bad thing. There's studies that say if you use all 30, it's a bad thing. There's so many studies that I have never found anything directly conclusive one way or the other. But on average, from all the studies, 10 to 11 hashtags seems to kind of be the golden rule. It seems to be, if you know, the more you use, like I said, the better. The more chances you have to get exposure, the more places you have potential to show up. So there's nothing wrong with using more. Some people think it looks spammy. It's Instagram. People are used to hashtags on Instagram. It does not look spammy like it would on other platforms. It looks weird on other platforms. I hate hashtags on pretty much any other platform, including Twitter. But when it comes to Instagram, feel free to use them liberally, just put them out there and take advantage. And we're going to talk about strategically which ones you should actually be using. So,
Jen, just a quick question. Question just came in. What about using the same hashtags consistently? Does that constitute spam?
No, it does not at all. You can absolutely use the same ones repeatedly. I use the same kind of core, probably 10 to 12 hashtags, and then I mix up the rest of them depending on the piece of content, depending on, you know, whether it's a certain event or what's in the actual photo, or whether I'm talking about Instagram or Facebook or whatever the specific topic is. So you can absolutely use the same ones repetitively, and you should use your branded ones repetitively. They should be used on everything. And I'm not going to go down the whole rabbit hole of shadow banning. If you ever want to understand everything about shadow banning, literally go to my blog at jenstrends.com and type in shadow banning in the search bar, and you'll find all of my opinions and studies and theories and everything about shadow banning. But there is nothing proven that says if you use the same hashtags repeatedly that you will be shadow banned. That is a complete false statement. So don't believe that to be true. You can absolutely use multiple hashtags repeatedly. So that being said, like I said, about 10 to 20 hashtags per post. The more you use, the better. You can use up to 30, but do not use more than 30. If you use 31, your content will not post if you put it in the original caption. So you just want to make sure that you don't go over 30 if you're posting it in your original caption. You want to use your own custom branded hashtags. So for example, if you look at this example I have on the slide from the Marriott Marquis in San Diego, they use their hashtag Marriott Marquis SD. That's their own branded. I use hashtag Learn from Jen and hashtag Jen's Trends. Those are my branded hashtags. So you should absolutely have at least one. You can have multiple if you have ones for certain campaigns, certain times of the year, different products, different services, whatever it is, you can absolutely have different branded hashtags. You want to be able to take advantage of trendy or themed hashtags. So, you know, when it was the holiday season, you know, we just had Halloween. Now we just recently had Canadian Thanksgiving. Now we have American Thanksgiving. We got Christmas and all those sorts of holidays, New Year's. Absolutely take advantage of those. Again, this example on the screen, they're using the hashtag Labor Day weekend, taking advantage of something that's going on at that time. So if there is a specific theme or that sort of thing, you can absolutely use those. Same thing with like hashtag TBT for Throwback Thursday, those sorts of things. You can use content-related hashtags.
So, Jen, just a second. When you say a branded hashtag, you mean like Jen's Trends is your one because it relates to you, right?
Yes, exactly. One that you've created for your brand that you use universally across your social media campaign.
I use Make Stuff Happen, but yeah.
Exactly. And so content related. So for example, if I have a photo of my desk and it's messy and I've got, you know, a bunch of things, I'm working on the book and I'm working on a presentation and I'm working on all these different components, then my content related hashtags would be things like hashtag work from home and hashtag messy desk and, you know, hashtag, you know, mom life, or those sorts of things that are related to that individual content that aren't necessarily my typical marketing related hashtags that I would use. So again, in this one on the screen, they used hashtag pool, hashtag vacation, it's hashtag San Diego. It's related to the content that is actually being showcased in that image. You also want to use industry-related hashtags. So again, I'm in the marketing space. I'm in the social media marketing space. I'm in the Instagram marketing space. So I use all those hashtags related to those components. If you're in something, whether it's, you know, you're in, you know, a jewelry designer, if you are, you know, a clothing type product company, or if you're doing that SaaS, if you're doing anything that's, you know, some sort of a service-based, you're a consultant, whatever those things are, you're going to want to use hashtags related to your industry, from narrow to broad, but you want to find those hashtags that are related to your specific industry that your target audience would be looking for. Now, when you're using all of these hashtags, what you guys really want to think about is how you use them, first of all, strategically, but you also want to think about what your audience is looking for. And I always use this example from duct tape, like the big, nasty silver duct tape. And they were using hashtags like duct tape and tape and like really kind of obvious hashtags about their product, but they weren't getting a lot of results. When they started thinking about what are their typical customers doing on Instagram, they realized that their typical customer is the DIYer, the home improvement person, the, you know, the single dad, the, you know, single mom that are just trying to, you know, quickly repair something in the house until they can get the repair person out there. And the more they started thinking about that target audience and realizing what they were looking for on Instagram were those DIY projects. They were looking for quick home remodel tips. And so when they started thinking about that and they started using those hashtags, their engagement went through the roof on their content because they were getting their product in front of the right audience. So just because your product or your service is what you think it is, you want to think about what your audience is actually looking for on Instagram in terms of their behavior and why they would go to hashtags and what they're actually looking for. So I said you kind of want to use those 10 to 20 hashtags. Here's how I want you to break them out. You want to use 4 to 5 really popular hashtags. These are the ones that have like hundreds of thousands and into the millions, not like bazillions. Like if they have like 20 million posts, they're kind of useless at that point because your content's really not going to get found. But anything that has like a few 100,000 and above is considered a popular hashtag. The moderately popular are those hashtags that have tens of thousands of posts associated with them. And you want to use about 5 or 6 of those. You want to use a good chunk of those. Then you want to use at least 2 up to 5 niche specific hashtags. These are those really targeted ones that are specific to your industry, specific to what it is you do as a service. And then you want to do your 1 to 3 branded hashtags. So the reason this all works and the reason that you want to do this is because this allows you to show up in a top post. What happens is those initial popular hashtags get you an initial burst of activity. They get you immediate likes right away because they're super popular and a lot of people are trolling those hashtags. Then those moderately popular keep your content active for a longer period of time. Those really popular ones only get you about a couple minutes worth of activity. The moderately popular will keep your content active for hours, maybe even into like a day or 2. Those niche specific hashtags are where you will rank as a top post, and those are the ones that actually keep your content alive for days, if not weeks or months. So for example, up here on the screen, you can see in the top right corner is one of my posts under the hashtag Instagram Expert. So everything where it says most recent at the bottom of the screen, everything below that is chronological, but those first 9 posts are the top performing posts. They're posts that Instagram says, hey, these are performing really well. They might be relevant to new people. And your content will show up in that top 9. Now, to get there, you have to have constant engagement, not just an initial burst, but constant engagement. And the hashtags help you get that, not just from your existing followers, but also from all these random people and new people who are finding your content in the hashtag. So it's a very strategic way, but what ends up happening is now I want to be found for Instagram Expert. That's what I'm known for, is my Instagram training. So if someone happens to go to the Instagram Expert hashtag, they're most likely to look at those top 9 and go through those first before they go look at any of the chronological content. So being in that top 9 is a much better chance of my content being found and driving results to my page, getting people to look at my content, getting someone to send me their email address, reading my blog, that sort of thing, because I was able to rank. So you really want to be strategic when you're using these strategies. If at any point you guys have questions, feel free to send them in the chat and we can chime in and answer those.
And
we'll also try to leave some time at the end. Yeah.
One lady said about, should they all be grouped together? And should they be part of the initial comment or one of the subsequent comments?
So it has absolutely no difference whether you put it in the original caption or in a subsequent comment. It really makes no difference. It's just a matter of personal preference. There's no real significant change or value dependent on location in terms of reach, exposure, blah, 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 blah. I put all mine in the original caption because plain and simple, I'm too lazy. Like I'm typing up that whole thing. I'm just going to dump all my hashtags in there and be done with it. I don't want to go in and post something again in a comment. That's just me. I'm lazy. If you want to put them in a subsequent comment, you absolutely can. And again, there's no difference to spacing them out. If you want to put them immediately below your caption, which I do, go for it. If you want to put a couple return lines or the dots and then put them down there. If you want to put one hashtag return, a hashtag return, so each hashtag's on its own line, you can do that. It really doesn't matter. It just comes down to preference in terms of styling and aesthetics. But in terms of functionality and performance, it makes absolutely no difference. Okay, so another thing that I want you to think about from a hashtag perspective, which this is more on you to use hashtags, but it's a really, really good way to help build your audience. And I use this all the time, and it's absolutely worked really well. So I want to share it with you, and that's to actually go and have you search out hashtags and interact with people out there that are your ideal audience. So for example, an event hashtag. You want to find events in your industry that are where your target audience would potentially be and follow that hashtag on Instagram. Then you go through and like all the content on that hashtag. So for example, let's say there is a social media conference, social media day San Diego is here on June 30th. There's social media camp up in Victoria. There's social media marketing world. There's inbound. There's all these conferences for social media all around the world. I will go and stock that hashtag for, let's say it is the social media day San Diego. And I'll go find that hashtag and I go through and I just like scroll and I go through and I like all of the posts on that hashtag. Why? Because most of the people attending that conference are my ideal target audience. They're small business owners and marketers who want to learn more about social media. And hey, that's what I do. I teach social media. So by going through, I'm not following any of these people, but I'm liking all of their content on the hashtag. As they're posting this content and I'm liking their content, they're seeing my name pop up in their feed repeatedly that says, hey, Jen's Trends keeps liking my post. I should go see who this person is. They come over and they go, oh, look, she's an Instagram expert. Oh, look, she's, doing all this stuff with social media. Okay, cool. I'm going to follow her. So it gets me, depending on the size of the event, anywhere from 10 to 100 new followers each time. If it's a smaller venue, a smaller conference, I might only get 10 or 15 new followers out of it. But here's the thing. Those 10 or 15 are my perfect target audience. They're people who are great for me to push towards my list, to get them reading my blog, to potentially sell them my consultation services or strategy packages. So I will gladly work for those 10 to 15 targeted people versus just a bunch of randoms who happen to find me on Instagram. So you want to do this, you want to find these events. If you're in fashion, on the Fashion Week type hashtags, maybe not New York Fashion Week or Paris Fashion Week, because those are massive, but smaller fashion weeks or events like that, you would follow those. If you're in the child development space, or if you're in something like that, you want to find conferences and events that talk about, moms, or talk to psychologists or teachers or any of those sorts of people that might be your ideal target audience. Not only events, but hobbies as well. If you have a product, maybe you're not looking for the conferences and those sorts of things, but people who do the DIY, who do different activities, and have things that are more hobby related, but that would fall into your general target audience, do the same thing and find those hobby hashtags and follow those. This is a really, really effective way to grow your audience. Okay, so that's everything that we're going to talk about for hashtags as of right now. We're going to move on and we're going to talk all about contests, you guys. I love a good Instagram contest. Why? Because they're amazeballs. They're so good at being able to get you super fast engagement and grow your audience. Now, you have to execute these properly. There was a recent story that a lot of people talked about. It actually happened to a designer here in San Diego. And they created their small brand, like literally two people like making bathing suits out of like their house, like a super small shop. And they had a contest and they said, everybody who reposts this post will get a free bathing suit. And it went viral, like tens, hundreds of thousands of people regramming this post to get their free bathing suit. It pretty much like, I don't even know if I'm sure they're still in business, but like the backlash was crazy because they couldn't possibly complete the orders. They didn't put a cap. They didn't say up to 20 or up to 100. They put no restrictions on the contest, and great, good for them. They got all this exposure and they had all this massive growth, which you're never going to complain about as a business owner, but they had no way to potentially actually carry through with the delivery of all of these products. So it was in some ways a marketing disaster as much as it was good because it really got them the exposure that they way more than they had ever wanted. So contests absolutely work, but you have to do them really well strategically and you have to plan accordingly. So you want to create great images. You need people to know that it's a contest. You need a hashtag for your contest. So you absolutely have to have something that people can tag, if they're creating their own content that they're creating and sharing, that they have a hashtag they can use on it. Most contests, you're going to vary from something as simple as like this post and follow to creating content. You're going to want your prize to correlate with the level of effort. If you're asking someone to take a photo and post it to their Instagram account, it better be for a really good prize. I am not jeopardizing the beauty of my Instagram account. Not that it's perfect, but I'm just saying all the things that I do and everything I do for business and everything I've created, I'm not jeopardizing that to put up some, random photo of your product just so I can, get a $5 gift certificate. Like that's not worth it for me. But if I'm going to get like a free pair of $300 shoes? Hell yes, mama's going to put up a photo on my Instagram account. So you have to have a correlation between the amount of effort for the participation to the level of the prize. If you're just giving away a free $20 t-shirt, maybe a simple, like and comment type thing would be your entry requirement. So these are things you want to think about in your contest. Here's just some examples on the screen of types of things that work really well for contest images. Again, put some text on there that let them know that it's literally a contest. Put the word contest so they don't miss it, that they know it's a contest. Graphic type things like the one on the right with the Petco example work, making it quite obvious. It was obviously a Halloween-based contest, so they got a relevant photo with the dogs dressed up. The zoo has a nighttime zoo is the contest, and they've obviously got an animal, from the zoo. So you want to keep your images related to the contest. It should be something that is appealing to your target audience, and all of that. So those are things to keep in mind when you're taking your images. Then when you're writing your captions for your contest, you want to make it super clear, super obvious that it's a contest. Again, big, bold letters, all capitals, use emojis, like say contest, like make it super obvious there's a contest. Now, personally, the example on the left from Petbox is actually a really old example. You can tell by the screenshot. I don't think Instagram has had black icons for like 2 years. But I like this example because look at how that example stands out against the other two, where they've got like the colored blocks, they've got the breakout text, it's aligned. That really stands out. It's really clear where the steps to complete the contest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, versus the Adidas one in the middle where it's just all one big long caption. So they have everything you need to know in the Adidas one, but it's not visually appealing. It's going to be harder for people to follow the steps, whereas the first one and then even the one on the right from San Diego City Beat also, even though it's not quite as visually appealing, still has good breakouts so you can see what the steps are to enter the contest. So you want to really structure your caption well. Whenever I run a contest, it's usually the same kind of thing every time, and I literally have my contest caption written up in a note on an app on my phone that I can literally copy and paste. So I don't have to rewrite it every time. I just have to edit out like whether it's the event name or the hashtag and like the date, but the whole context is there with the spacing, with the symbols, and it makes it super easy. So if you're going to run contests regularly, that's a great tip to kind of keep your content organized and not have to redo this every single time you run a contest post. Now, also a great way to run contests and a hugely valuable way to grow your audience is to do a loop giveaway. Now, these are not super common. They're getting more common, and a lot of people don't really know how to run them effectively. But a loop is where, let's say you partner with 10 other accounts that are in your industry or niche, and you all do the contest together. So basically, let's say it's me and 5 other people. So there's 6 of us total. What I post and what the 5 of them post is all exactly the same, except that we send the viewers to the next person in the chain. So if I'm person 1, my post is going to say, like for the example on the left, you have to follow me, you have to like this picture, and then you're going to go to person number 2. So when they get to person number 2, it's going to be the same description as they go to person number 3. Number 3 is going to say to go to 4, number 4 is going to say to go to 5, 5 is going to say to 6, and 6 is going to say 1 and come back to me. So you've completed the loop. No matter where you start, so if number 3's followers start with number 3, they're going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and back to 3. So to complete the loop, they have to go through and like the post and follow each of the people in the loop. The reason these are so impactful is because you're using all of your audiences. So I have my audience, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 have their audiences, but now I'm getting to take advantage of all of theirs. So if we all have 10,000 followers, that's 60,000 followers, give or take, because there's probably some duplicates, but that's about 60,000 people. So imagine if even just 10,000 of those people all came and followed you, you could grow to 20,000 almost overnight just from participants in a loop giveaway. So it's definitely a valuable tool. It's a hugely rewarding contest to run. They are complicated. There are things to consider like time zone differences. Every single person has to post their post at the exact same time. So when the contest goes live at 5 p.m. Eastern, everyone has to post at 5 p.m. Eastern. even if some are on the Pacific coast, even if some are over in Australia, some are in Asia, some are in the United Kingdom, whatever it is, you all have to be posting at the same time to make it work properly. So that means someone has to post at 2 in the morning, someone has to post at 4 in the afternoon. It can really kind of be a little bit difficult. So you want to be very specific in how you set this up and be very clear about your rules. But this is a really good way. And typically it is literally follow, like, and then go to the next. And then you kind of continue the way through, and then all of you pool your resources for the prize. So whether it's a big gift basket that has something from all of you, whether you all chip in $100, so you have, if there's 10 of you, there's $1,000 prize value, whatever it is, you have to work that out depending on who's setting up the loop. But that's a really, really good way to use a contest to grow your audience.
So Jen, when you say an Instagram pod, you mean like a pod of whales where you're all collectively doing the same thing together, right?
Yes, essentially. So for when you run the contest, there are a couple things you really want to think about, no matter whether you're doing a loop giveaway, whether you're doing a regular contest, whether the contest is, you know, to like and comment, whether it's to create content, whatever it is, you have to be very clear about a couple things. You do have to list all your contest rules. So what are the entry requirements? What is the prize that's being awarded? The entry period, is it starting, you know, it's effective now until Friday at, you know, 11:59 p.m. Eastern, whatever that is, you have to state that. When will the award be announced? How will winners be announced? And that sort of stuff. So you really want to be clear, make sure you have all those terms and conditions listed in there. And then this is super important, you guys, and so many people don't do this, that's actually required. Technically required on Facebook as well, but nobody ever does it because nobody knows. But technically, you must include this statement on the screen. So I'm going to make sure you guys get copies of these slides, but if you want to take a quick screenshot of the screen right now, that verbiage, per Instagram rules, we must mention that this is in no way sponsored, administered, or associated with Instagram Incorporated. By entering, entrants confirm that they are 13 years of age, release Instagram of responsibility, agree to Instagram's terms of use. This is directly from Instagram's website. They tell you that you have to do this when you run a contest. So please do this. Let's not risk any violations. If you are running a contest where it's required to be 18 years of age, you can change it to 18, or if it's 21, if you're something like an adult product, like whether it's alcohol or that sort of thing, and you have an age restriction, you want to change that 13 to the appropriate age restriction for whatever your product is. But in general, age 13 is the requirement that Instagram states. So again, I'll make sure you guys get these slides, but if you want to do a screenshot, make sure you do that.
Yeah, I'll send it out.
Perfect. Okay, so we are moving on to Instagram stories, and we're doing good on time. Woo! I'm talking fast, you guys. I'm going to get you covered. So Instagram stories, how to get found. Now, Instagram stories are awesome. I didn't love them when they started. I still don't love them, but they are awesome. I don't love them for me personally. I don't do Instagram story content. It doesn't flow naturally from my style, my brand, my content creation. But in terms of their power and impact, they are actually very rewarding. And Instagram and Facebook are putting so much money, resources, capacity, tools, resources, you name it, into Instagram stories. They're only going to continue to be more powerful. So you absolutely want to start thinking about using these in your marketing strategy. Now, there's 3 ways that Instagram stories can help you get found. 1, if you go to search, if you go to the magnifying icon in your Instagram and you look at the top, they're going to recommend stories for you. You can see that on the left. There's the, you know, things you might like. I always get a lot of wedding dresses in my things I might like. And I think it's because I follow photographers, that a lot of photographers do wedding photography, but I always get wedding dresses in my, and I'm like, I have no interest in getting married, people, but it's funny. So anyways, when you get the, you know, what you potentially might like in the Explore tab up at the top, they actually give you recommended sources of stories that you might like. So you have a chance of showing up in people's stories or in their Explore as a potential story. When people search for locations, an actual geographical location, for example, I searched for Balboa Park, which is here in San Diego. And when I did that, if you look up at the top, it has the colorful ring around the Balboa Park image. Guess what? That means there are stories on that geotag. So if I tap on that, I can see all of the stories associated with that geotag versus all of the Instagram content listed below. Same thing, if you go to a hashtag, I looked up hashtag Seattle, it has the colorful ring around the circle of the image. That means there are stories associated with that hashtag. If I tap on that, I'm going to see all the stories that are relative to the hashtag Seattle versus, again, all of the content that are regular Instagram posts shared with the Seattle hashtag. So Instagram stories 100% work. I see this all the time where someone either uses a hashtag or a geotag on their story, and they normally maybe get like 100 views on their story, and all of a sudden one of their stories has like 2,000 views. And it's because that story showed up in a hashtag search or in a geotag search in Instagram, and all of a sudden all these people saw their story that wouldn't normally see it. So it's a great opportunity to get new eyeballs on your account if you take advantage of this properly. So how do we do it? If you want to use geotags, you have to add a sticker. If you want to use a hashtag, you can use text or sticker. And we're going to go through both. But you do have to use the sticker function to get the location. So what you want to do is you want to go into your story, you take your photo or your video, it can be either or, and up there in the top corner, and I'm an Android girl, whoop whoop, sorry, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid, I'm not the iPhone user, but these icons look a little bit different, but they're essentially the same on iPhones. They might look a little bit different, but the sticker icon is that little square sticker looking face, and if you tap on that, then you get the image on the right, which is where the stickers open up, and you want to choose the location sticker. And when you do that, you can go through a series of, you can either type in the location of where you're at. It's going to populate locations based on where the photo is taken or where you're currently at. So you might have the exact option you want already listed in that list of choices. Otherwise, you can just start typing in the location you want. So at this point, I was at the Torrey Pines Glider Port, so I chose that as my location. And then you get this nice little sticker, which you can pinch and move and rotate and whatever, and move it around the screen. So you can put that on there. This example on the right from Molly Marshall Marketing, she has both the hashtag and the location, but you can see how when I'm looking at her story, if I tap on the location, that little pop-up says see location, and then I can tap on that, and it literally takes me to the 10 Barrel Brewing Company's Instagram account. So I can actually now go see all the photos on their account, the photos that have been tagged at that location, that sort of thing. So this is extremely valuable if you're a physically based location. If you have an actual business location, that sort of thing, you want to make sure people are tagging their content in, with your location, but you want to as well. You want to make sure you're taking advantage of this because people are going to start to now be able to find you as a business by using this tool. Okay, so you can also use the hashtag feature. So for hashtags, you can use it as text or you can use it as a sticker. When you do it as text, instead of using the sticker button, you want to use that AA, the text button at the top of the screen. And when you do that, it'll open up the text keyboard and you can start typing in whatever hashtag you want. When you start typing, it's going to give you recommendations. So I'm typing in hashtag lake. I can either hit done and it's done, or I can actually tap on the suggested one. So I could tap on hashtag lake, or if I was at Lake Tahoe, I would choose the Lake Tahoe option and it'll populate it for me. When it goes through as a sticker, or sorry, as text, it looks like, I'm going to go back to this one. It looks like this one up here with the Molly Marshall Marketing one that says drink Portland beer. That's one that was actually added as text. And that it actually, doesn't have, it looks like a sticker because you put a background on it, but it's not actually a sticker, it's just text-based. But you see how it's underlined? You have to have it underlined for it to be clickable. If you happen to hit done and it doesn't show it with the underline, then it's not clickable. So always make sure that you're seeing that underline. And you can also add your hashtags as a sticker. If you do that, you can go in when you do the sticker option. And so same thing as what you would have done when we added the sticker for the location. You just would have chose the hashtag sticker, and it puts it in this normal white background with the multicolor font. And that's how you know it's a sticker. But again, same thing, you start typing in what you want on your keyboard, and then when you post it, it's going to look like a little sticker. So again, those are going to get you great results.
Other than shouting?
What's that?
Other than shouting, does it matter if hashtags are upper or lowercase?
No, it has absolutely no difference. In these situations, when you're doing them in a sticker format, Instagram will always put them in uppercase. If you choose one of their suggested options, it's always going to go uppercase, but it makes absolutely no difference. If you have uppercase, lowercase, it's all the same in terms of functionality for searchability and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Okay, so Instagram ads. We're going to run through this really quickly. So what to promote in your ads? I have one word for you people: value. And that means value for you in the sense that we want you to get something out of running an ad, but really I'm talking about value to your audience. We're not running an ad that looks like an ad. We're not running an ad that says, buy me, unless it's something that's going to provide value to your audience. It should be something your audience needs, wants, or cares about that's going to get them to take action. So some of the things that you can do to promote quality and value in your ads is to offer resources and downloads. Just because people like free things on Facebook doesn't mean they don't want free things on Instagram too. They still want to learn. They want ebooks. They want, white papers, downloads, webinars, all those sorts of things. They want all of that from Instagram. So offer them that option as well. I just said webinars. You can share that information. If you have promotions, in this case, New Yorker was offering a discount on their subscription. So if you're doing a promotion, campaign type things like that, where you buy one, get one, or get a discount or limited time only, those sorts of things, absolutely run those in an ad. If you have a local event, something going on, in this case, it was, a marathon that was coming up, those sorts of things. So you can run anything that you have going on locally that you want to get awareness out there. The holidays are coming up. That's a lot of, local events and things like that. Encouraging user-generated content. The Zoo did this. They actually really struggled in the past on social media. In the last year or two, they've done a lot to really improve this. But they now literally push ads out to encourage their guests that come to the Zoo to take user-generated content and use their hashtag and share their experiences, because they want that user-generated content which they can reuse. You can push your products and services. I do not recommend you do this all the time because it's really hard to cold sell on Instagram. It's a little easier to cold sell on Facebook. It's really hard to cold sell on Instagram. To come in front of somebody who has no idea who you are and offer them a product or service that they've never heard of, they are very unlikely to buy. It's not common. It can work, but you're better off going for the brand awareness. You're better off going for getting a follower. You're better off getting an exposure through offering them a download or a free resource and then getting them in your sales funnel, which you can then push them towards a sale down the road, than trying to push a product or sale on them right away. That being said, sometimes it works. If it's a highly targeted ad that is valuable with the right product, it can work, but understand that ads run on Instagram that directly push a product or service for sale is not always going to drive good results. So what makes a good ad? You have to have a great photo or video, which is all about quality content on Instagram these days. We didn't dwell a lot on that today, but it really is important that you have really quality content, and that has to be the same thing for your ad. I actually heard recently this at an event that 90% of sponsored content is ignored. So when people are scrolling through the Facebook feed, the Instagram feed, whether it's LinkedIn or any of those things, and they see ads, 90% of those ads are ignored because they look like ads. We don't want to see ads, right? We want to see beautiful content that doesn't look like it's an ad. So you really need to have a really good photo or video. You need good text. You have to have a really good call to action button. So you want the text that says, hey, here's why this is valuable. Hey, here's what you want. This is why this is awesome. This is why you need this. And then the call to action button that allows them to go through and take action. If you're just running an ad and you have absolutely no ability for them to do anything on that ad, you're losing huge opportunity. They should be able to click on that ad to either shop now, learn more, subscribe, call, email, whatever it is. You want them to be able to do something from that ad. You also want to make sure that your Instagram ads run separately from Facebook. There are multiple theories out there on this. I'm one that says run them separately. What performs well on Facebook will not perform well on Instagram and vice versa. So if you want to get targeted results on Instagram, do not run the same ad at the same time on both Facebook and Instagram. Run them separately. There are different theories out there about the fact that this changes the price point, that you will pay less for Instagram ads if you run it concurrently with Facebook. But if you're paying less and getting no results, it's still worthless. So I would rather pay a little bit higher cost per click and get quality results than just running the ad for the sake of, because it's a little bit cheaper. So that's my theory in life. You really just want to keep an eye on what's working, what's not working, but know that typically Facebook, those big, bold, high contrast colors, the more graphic style images perform really well on Facebook ads. That will not perform on Instagram. So things like that you really want to be aware of and make sure you're creating different content. When you run your ad, you can either boost the post if you have a business account set up on Instagram, which you need that to run Instagram ads. You can do the boosted post, or you can go into your Facebook Ads Manager, Business Manager profile and set them up that way. When your ad is running, you will get all of your Instagram notifications on that ad in Instagram. So be prepared for a flood of notifications, a ton of likes and comments, all that's going to show up in your notifications. It can be really overwhelming. You can also view it during the ad and after the ad is finished running by going into the Business Manager. And if over on the very right-hand side, a tiny blue font says See Instagram Post. When you click on that, you can actually open up the Instagram post in your Facebook Business Manager and be able to see all of the actual engagement and comments at that point. Okay, so those are all the ways that we talk about, how to really grow your audience, the ways you can reach new people. But I really just want to finish up today before it gets too late, because we're almost at the hour, on captions and calls to action. This is really important because it ties everything together. It's, you're doing all these things to reach new people, but the quality caption and using the right call to action is what's actually going to get the conversion for you guys. So I just want to touch on this before we wrap up. And I knew that was going to happen. Hold on one second. I'm going to mute my microphone because if I can't mute. Where's my mute? Oh my goodness. Hold on. Come on down here. Let me.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Well, that's what happens when you're live, but it's keeping it real.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, of course you know that's going to happen, right? Like, always happens when you're on live. And of course, I heard the neighbor next door. I heard their door slam, and I'm like, and they're just going to go with the dog. And there went the dog. So welcome to life. Okay, so quality captions are really important to be able to drive the results that we're looking for. So your captions need to be descriptive. They need to somehow convey a message, a story. They need to draw in your audience. They're not just one sentence. They're not just random. It is meant to have a purpose, and they should be descriptive. They should be entertaining, educational, information, or valuable. I love this example from General Electric because it always makes me laugh and makes me think of like being a little kid in science class. But if you actually read this caption, they talk about how the design for these windmills originally started with toothpicks and styrofoam balls. And I'm like, I can just imagine like all these like super smart techie engineers sitting around a table playing with styrofoam balls and toothpicks. Like it seems so odd and yet so real. And here's this, probably multi-million-dollar, massive wind machine that started from toothpicks and styrofoam balls. So it's just a fun, realistic, relatable story that is a great example of how your captions can really drive that interaction with your audience. Your captions should be, quote, not too short, not too long. 1 to 3 short paragraphs is ideal. You technically have up to 2,200 characters that you can share, but that's a lot. Some people do great microblogging, but we don't want to encourage that typically. Most people are looking for something short and sweet, but that takes the message of the photo that much further. I'm gonna get my mouse back over here since I tried to go off mute. Okay, so you wanna use your captions really effectively and or use text overlays when you have a call to action. You can put the text in the image, you can put it in the caption, or you can put it in both when you have that specific call to action. You want to tell people exactly what you want them to do. Are you asking them to click on the link in your bio? Are you asking them to comment or tag people below? Are you asking them to click on that email button or the call button on your business profile? Are you asking them to come into your store? Are you asking them to call and make a reservation? What is it that you're asking them to do? Be very clear about that. And I have a couple examples here. This is an old one of my blog posts. But I still do the same general format now where I literally say a new blog post is live. I tell them a little bit about it, And then I say, click on the link in my bio. And the link in my bio goes to my blog page where this is the most current blog, and you can now see all of my blogs. So it's clear, it's exactly, you know, what it is, and they know what they're going to get. I've made it super easy. Click on the link in my bio. And it's valuable because A, I've told them what's in the blog post that's going to give them value, but B, it's valuable to me because now I'm going to get people over my blog off of Instagram. So these are things you want to think about. Here's another one of my own personal examples, and I always use this one because to this day, it's still one of my most actively engaged posts. I think I have one now that's outperformed this one. But I literally took a photo of me, and I said, I need your input, read more below. And then below that, I was asking for feedback on a project I was working on. And I can't remember, but this one got I think a couple hundred comments. So not a ton of likes, but a ton of comments. So I needed that. I needed people's responses. I needed them to answer my question. And by putting that simple, easy to understand call to action in the photo, I got a ton of engagement. If instead I had posted just a photo of me sitting at a computer with the caption, I would not have got that much engagement because they would have looked right past it. This is one of my most fun examples. I absolutely love this example, and I still use it even though this is an older post. And Nordstrom did this because I love shoes and I love to shop, so it's a great example for me. But they said for every 10,000 likes that this post gets, we will take 10% off these boots up to 30%. So when I took the screenshot of, they were almost at 30,000 likes, which means they probably did surpass it and get the 30% off. But even if not, they would still be 20% off. So A, they're inviting engagement and getting a huge engagement because everyone's going to tag all their friends below and get a ton of engagement because everyone wants to get that at the 30,000, get the 30% off. And then they get people to go buy the boots because they got the boots for 30% off. So you just shot up your engagement on Instagram and you just shot up your sales on a product. Hello, genius. I love this example. So find creative ways like this that you can make a super easy call to action, super valuable, because as a customer, I just got 30% off boots, and as a business, they just got a whole bunch of sales and a whole bunch of Instagram likes. So this is a super, super unique and valuable tool. Okay, you guys, we're close to the hour. We have like a few minutes for questions. If you guys have questions you want to drop in here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But just as a reminder, I am at Jens_trends on Instagram. JensTrends.com is my blog, and you can email me, jen@jenstrends.com. Feel free to reach out. Let's go ahead and start doing questions.
Awesome. So somebody asked about the difference between click a link or link in bio, but it's the same thing effectively, isn't it?
Exactly. It's pretty much the exact same thing. It's not really, it's just a matter of kind of verbiage and terminology in terms of how you're phrasing it. But yeah, click the link in my bio or link in bio, anything like that. You're just directing them. But now here's the great thing, you guys. This is why I love Instagram, because if they see that and they go, okay, they read your caption, they saw that you have to click on the link in the bio, then they click on your profile photo. So they're on your bio, then they go and click on the link. Now they're on your website. They've done 3 or 4 or 5 things to get to that point. They really want to be there. So the bounce rate is essentially 0. You have made them already do all the hoop jumping and work to get there. That is a quality potential conversion. Those are people who are going to buy. Those are the people who are going to stay and read 12 pages on your website. Those are super quality contacts that you want to maximize. So make sure that page you're sending them to is the exact right page. Make sure it's the right landing page. Make sure it's the right blog post. Make sure it's the right page on your website for a product or that sort of thing. Do not make them jump through any more hoops. They've done enough jumping. Make sure they're at the right place and take advantage that they're that quality content. The questions that I have my chat up and I can actually see what questions we have going on here. Do you do all the other social media but focus on Instagram? Yes. So at the top of the call I was talking about that, and I do focus on Instagram. It's what I've become known for. I am the world's forefront blogger on Instagram marketing, but I do, when I work with my clients for strategy development or consultation, I do all the major social media platforms. I love all social media. It's just, this has kind of become my little home space of where I hang out and do most of the training things that I do. But I can absolutely talk to you more if there's something else you want help with.
Awesome.
And then Lindsay had asked, top action to take today to grow your Instagram. Everything I just said. There's a ton that I know that we went through honestly, I think one of my best tips is that hashtag stalking strategy, where you go and find the hashtags in your industry and you go through and like the content, because it's actionable for you to get out there and do something now to get your content immediately in front of new people. You're liking their content, you're showing up in their feed, and they're going to come over and interact with you that way. Everything else is going to take time for you to build it up, whether it's creating your content and sharing the right hashtags and building your hashtag strategy, whether it's running a contest. All of those things take time, but you finding a targeted hashtag for your target audience and jumping on there and interacting is something you could literally do right now as soon as we get off this call.
So I'm just looking in the audience, somebody joined us a bit later, so I didn't. This is Dirk in the middle there. He's just moved from Aspen to Palm Springs. And he's creating a new studio, which is going to be hashtag DirkFit. And the funny thing is, I was sitting right next to him yesterday in that yard, and just behind him is a tree full of the freshest grapefruits. It's just like, man, look at that. That's full of grapefruits.
It looks beautiful out there in the desert. I'm like, oh, it's not. It's been cold and rainy out here.
This week, and Instagram is his main platform to grow that business.
I love it. That's awesome.
Right, Dirk? You're unmuted, my friend.
Oh, I am unmuted. Yes. Thank you. I'm very excited about it.
And
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Every day.
Thank you. What's that, Jonathan?
And of course, you get fresh grapefruit for breakfast every day.
Oh, every day for 2 months.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
So were there any other questions?
With that. So he's in Palm Springs, and obviously DirkFit and the fitness studio. So hashtagging Palm Springs and then looking for those major ones and jumping in on those.
Yeah, so in terms of hashtags to use kind of thing, you're going to want, like, obviously anything Palm Springs centric. So you're going to want Palm Springs fitness, Palm Springs exercise, Palm Springs workout. Look at all of those kind of things, see what hashtags related specifically to Palm Springs, because you are a local based business and you want to have that target audience.
Right.
Anything that's related to even, I mean, you can find things for either like Southern California, because again, when you put Palm Springs, you're ignoring things like Rancho Mirage and potentially other areas, even though they might still be looking for Palm Springs. They may not, know that they need to look for Palm Springs if they're living in Rancho Mirage, which, let's face it, it's like, half hour away. So it's still potentially your target audience, even though they're not exactly right where you are. So those are things you want to think about in terms of, the geographical tags. Then you want to have your branded hashtags in terms of the name of your business and what you're doing. If there's anything going on that's trending, like even if it's things like, I know there's a lot of festivals and there's a lot of things that come out to the desert. If there's, whether it's art shows, galleries, music festivals, all those sorts of things that go out towards the desert, you don't necessarily want to always piggyback on those and use those hashtags, but those are the ones that you can start to follow and do the hashtag stalking that we talked about, where you go look through those hashtags and like the content on there, because those people may potentially be looking for your services, especially if they're staying in town for a long period of time. Maybe they want that personal trainer while they're in, Palm Springs for 2 weeks for a conference or for a venue show, those sorts of things. So there's lots of different ways that you can find those targeted hashtags and industry hashtags that are related to that aren't necessarily going to get you a global audience, but help you narrow down those individual people.
That's awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Somebody was, Annabelle, I think she's just gone, but she was just saying that her business page is at 0 right now. She's just started it. So before she goes hashtag stalking, she should get a number of posts under her belt first, right?
Yes, absolutely, Annabelle. I would, and she's still here. I can see her up here in my corner.
Yeah, sorry.
I would definitely, so make sure you have at least about probably 6 posts. You want at least enough content on there that you have some background, some, content for them to relate to. And here's my best tip, you guys. When you're starting out new, put that you're new in your bio. Let people know that you're starting off on this journey, because people love that authenticity. And if they come to your account and you're trying to act like, oh man, I've been here forever, I'm doing my thing, and they're like, you have 4 posts. They're like, fake, and they're going to run for the hills. But if you literally say in your bio, brand new Instagram account, excited to have you on the journey with us, follow along as we grow. Something like that literally tells them what to expect, why you don't have a lot of content. it invites them into your story, and it makes them want to see how you're going to grow. They want, like, well, I want to know what's going on. Like, it welcomes them in a happy, comforting way that will help you build trust with your audience. So don't worry about the fact that you're starting from zero, but get some content in there, start thinking about your strategy. And then once you start to build that up a little bit, then yes, then you can start looking at that hashtag stalking.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you. So Jen, I know on your website, I put a link in the chat box already, you have a number of free resources. Is that the best way for people to stay in touch with you right now? Download those? And
just go to my blog, go to jenstrends.com. You can, if you go to the services page, you can see the services I offer. If you wanted to do one-on-one consultations, if you want to do strategy development, everything that I list on there are the services I offer, including my rates. If there's something custom that you want, I can kind of combine things and make packages. But my blog has literally like 150 posts just on Instagram, close to 250 posts on other social media topics. Like, there's a boatload of content on my blog, you guys. So if you have a question, I've probably answered it. And just literally go in there, find what you need, navigate through. If there's anything you want, if there's a question you have, feel free to just shoot me an email or hit the contact form on the website and send it over to me, and I'm happy to talk to you more. Just let me know that you met me here so I remember how we connected, and that's always helpful to keep the conversation going and make sure I give you guys the right help.
Wow, that's great. You mentioned about some of the images on Facebook with different colored fonts and stuff work well that don't work well on Instagram. And I watched you do a webinar recently where you did the whole thing about the angle of the photograph and just how you present those pictures. So is that a resource that people can get?
I have that video, I believe, up on YouTube. So I have I think a few videos up on my YouTube channel. So again, if you go look for Jen's Trends on YouTube, and I do Instagram lives every other week, although right now with the holidays, I'm not being too good about that schedule because life happens and my kid is more important than doing an Instagram live. But in general, I do Instagram lives every other Wednesday, and most of those I repurpose and upload them to my YouTube page. So they're literally hour-long tutorials. They're much like this, but they're not slides. It's just me talking to the camera. But the one that Jonathan's mentioning, I did actually more interactive. You get to see a lot of my apartment. And I talked about how to take better photos and talk about lighting and angles and staging and all that sort of stuff. So if you go to the YouTube channel, I think I have like 5 or 6 videos up there. It's not a ton, but there's some great resources there that kind of help if you want that video component as well.
Awesome. And I'm just going to share a link to that as well. This has been fantastic. As always.
Good. Yay, I'm getting all the thumbs up. I love you guys. This is awesome. Thank you guys. You guys were so good. Thank you. I love all the smiles. I love it. Thank you. It was a pleasure. I'm so glad. And like I said, if there's anything I can do to help you guys, please feel free to reach back out via the blog or email and say hi and let me know what I can do to help. I'm happy to.
That's awesome. And I will see you at Social Media Marketing World 2018.
I know. And if any of you want to come to Social Media Marketing World in February, March, it's like February 29th, March 1st and 2nd down here in beautiful San Diego. I mean, is there anywhere you'd rather be in March? I mean, come on, people, come see us, come hang out. Jonathan and I will be there. It'll be fun.
And Jen, do you have your own affiliate link for that?
I do, but I don't have it activated yet. So every year I activate it, I get like 1 sign up from it. And this year I've had like 5 people ask me for it, and I'm like, I should really have done that. I just haven't got around to it. I'm like, oh well, what are you gonna do? At this point, it happens. I'll get around to it. But if I get it set up, I'll let you know so you can share it.
Okay, that's great. I want to be respectful of your time. Just thinking that was just lots of love from everybody here. Thank you, my friend. It is.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Still a little bit lighter in San Diego by the look of it in the desert. Nice. And it's the middle of the night.
And I've got the blinds closed, but apparently there's still some sun out there.
Oh, bless.
I know this time change ruined everything. I'm like, it's so dark now. I'm over it.
Okay, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us live. I'll get this rendered and I'll be in the group within the hour. Thanks again.
Bye, everybody.